Hey guys, it's Avery from Block to the Top. I'm here to bring you a behind the scenes second episode of my animation series Rome. I know it's been freaking forever, but I finally did it, finally finished it. I just wanted to challenge myself and take the time to make sure it's pretty good. So if you look in the description of this video, you'll see time markers, and follow those time markers for specific things I'm getting at. I hope you have a decent understanding of Cinema 4D R16 Studio when you're watching this video, because I'm going to skip over the basics usually. So I'm just going to talk about specific effects that I addressed in my process to making the video. Thanks, and we'll get started. Alright, so the first thing I want to review is modeling, and specifically towards the characters themselves. So one thing you'll notice is that I upgraded from my previous bad rig to a pretty decent one. It's by the same guy. His name is Anishwish. That's definitely not how you pronounce it. He's on YouTube. You can look him up. Look for his version 8 rig, his newest one. I believe it's 30 bucks. But it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. Because it has a ton of new features that none of the other rigs I've ever seen had. For example, normally how I would model is I would painstakingly take a cube and size it down and parent it to his arm or something like that, block by block, texture it one by one. But now this rig, I know I'm horrible at modeling, so do not do that, because that's probably not the quickest way to do things. So this new rig of his has a feature called extrusion. You see yes to all these. Then you can literally just find body, kind of unlock that. There we go. And you can literally just go ahead and use the extrude tool. Oh, that's not what I want. Just type in an amount. Let's say 4 centimeters, and bam, it's textured by whatever pixel was below it. So now all these sides are that color. So. And it bends with the body, so it's absolutely fantastic if you just want to go like this and pull it out by, I don't know, 7 centimeters. And there you go. Then you would have a 3D body, and it makes ambient occlusion look so much better. If you don't know what ambient occlusion is, I'll tell you my render settings later in the video, and it's really huge at making things look better. So you can see it's bent in. It's really weird slouch. You can see that it forms with the body. So that's why this rig is very useful, and it comes with a ton of automation features. You know, one of the reasons why my animations are kind of unique is the fact that there's so many characters being put into one scene. You can literally just pull this bar over, makes it into lowers the quality of the rig, only in the viewport, only in what's seen here. When I render it out, it'll be perfectly fine, high quality. So this way it's not as laggy. You can also use a ton of automation features such as Smart Move, which is like move his arm, his whole body moves, and a ton of other things such as Auto Walk, which is really nice. Look at this is amazing. Automatically walking as I move it. It's amazing. You can adjust the speed and make it do a running cycle instead. It's absolutely amazing. It's really helpful. You can attach it to splines for the C motion. It's so good. There's a ton of mesh options and face options. It's just absurd. So I highly recommend this rig. Alright, so now I want to talk to you how I made this this little dagger here. I'm sure a lot of you are interested in making custom weapons instead of that boring standard sword that we see in all the animations. Standard Minecraft sword. So I'm going to teach you how I made this baby here. So I just said that, I'm going to regret that, but so how I did it was, it's the tedious way you could possibly think. Tons and tons of small little cubes. I would literally just hit this button, make this thing into a very small size. We're looking at sizes of 3 by 4 by 2.5, different thicknesses and everything. And you can do squares. I usually do squares, but it doesn't matter too much. It's literally just taking one copy, paste, put it over here, copy and paste, put it over here. It's that simple. And honestly, you could also go to over here, the magnet by the snap, and hit enable quantizing. And then you would have to go to custom commands. We'll go to moves. Yeah, go right here. Take this thing, you put it right up here, somewhere where you want. That's literally the same thing as this. So after you would hit the enable quantizing, make sure it's highlighted. Not just this. This does not matter if it's highlighted, just the quantizing. And then you would set it to, like, because of this, it's 3 centimeters off, so we'll set this to 3. So now it'll move 3 by every interval. So that way I could set it up better. But actually it's probably at like a 0.5 interval is what I want to be working with for now, for this, but whatever. So that's literally what you do to make the model. Next step is to then texture it, which is by all hell absolutely horrible and annoying. You just have to have a good imagination. So what I did was I put abbreviations Wicked Dagger. This is the shorter version, by the way. I made it longer because it's tip number 1. Make sure your weapons are long because Minecraft arms are stupidly short. So it's really hard to make action fights. It's very, very difficult. So try to make longer weapons, but not too long. Spears are very difficult to hold on 2 hands. Alright, so next. So what you would do is you would just make a bunch of materials. Oh, oopsies. And see, I just have these 7 materials for the dagger. And I said, oh, I want it to be purple. So I made a light purple, and a slightly darker, slightly darker, slightly darker, slightly darker, quite dark, and a black for the handle. And here's my, I had some reflect. I didn't even know I had reflectance. That's an error. I don't like reflectance. And then glow. These are the settings I put for the glow. So it's different though as you go inward, because you know this is the lighter part of the blade. The inside it gets darker. The settings change somewhat. It's a little old. That's an older version, but alas, just mess around with the settings. It's a lot of fun to mess around with glow. So that's literally how I made that. And then what I would do is I would take it. I would take all these little squares, right? I have them all grouped under this. This is the one. I would go like this, select all the cubes underneath it. Holy crap, it's a lot of cubes. And you would want to hit this button up here, which converts it into editable polygons. So you can see the symbol change from a square to this triangle thing. And then you want to go to connect objects and delete. So that legit just makes the thing one solid object. So then you always want to do that because it reduces lag by a lot. And still, you want to try to not use too many cubes. I kind of overdo it. I just like this style, but whatever. And you want to take, see this button right here? This edits the axis of this object. So you would want to go into here. I'm not going to show you the details, but you would basically just want to move it to like the center of the handle, or wherever you think it's nice. That just makes things a lot more convenient. So now, instead of rotating around this point, which is the center of the whole thing, you want it to be rotating around the handle. So chop chop. There we go. Alright, so once you have it textured and all that handled, you then want to, alright, this is the one, this is the sword version, which is just longer pretty much. Then you want to put a constraint tag on it. So you would take it, imagine your sword is still over there, you take it and you go to character tags, constraint, you would hit that button, I'm not because I already have one on this, and then you want to check PSR, check aim. Well, you don't have to check aim, I'll tell you what it does in a second, but just PSR for now, and hit generators. It'll be set to something else, I believe, with Generis is what you want. And Twitch taught me this, by the way, because he's a pro. Alright, so then you want to put it. So then what'll happen is you'll be seeing it like it'll be off kind of. So then you want to go to the PSR. You want to just adjust it to where you want it to be. And then same for the rotation. It gets a little weird because once it has a constraint tag on it, that's PSR, you can't rotate the object anymore. You can't rotate it, you can't move it, you can't scale it. Well, you can scale it, but that's kind of weird. But you have to do everything in here. So if you want to make the sword move from one position like here to make it more angled or up and down, I don't know why it's doing that, but if you want to do that, then you'd have to animate it in here with this button to set the keyframe, and then take it to the curves editor. That's advanced stuff, but alright. So next is, if you want, something that really helps with when you're stabbing someone is that you would have an aim tag. I discovered this really late, and I wish I learned about this earlier. So you would check the aim box. This option will come up. Don't really have to do anything for offset. You could do whatever you want for strength. You'll learn about that. I set it to Y+, and I set some kind of object to be basically where the sword is always going to be pointing to. Watch this. That is so useful. Because like I said, you can't rotate it through here. I mean, you can because you're selecting the sword itself. But you don't want to do that because there's... Oh, I missed a crucial step, guys. I'm not going to re-edit this. But basically, I just also put in a couple of lights around this thing. I put 4 lights, one right here, 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 and here, just to make sure it's always lit up. Alright, just want to make sure you know all that. So yeah, you want the whole thing to be moving together, so you can't just rotate this sword. That's why I had it disabled, because they're really freaking annoying. Alright. So yes, aim tag. It would always be pointing at this. So if you want to stab someone, because one thing that you'll notice is when you try to go for a stab, you know, the body's always going to be moving. So you're going to have, let me turn off the aim tag for now. So it's like as the arm's going into the jab, you could see that the tip of the sword, it's moving around a lot. And it's really hard to keep track of it. While if you just go ahead and turn on the aim constraint, then no matter where you move, the point will always be inside of the person that you're jabbing. It makes it so much more easier and makes things a lot nicer. Alright, so that's how you model your own little swords. I hope I covered everything, and thank you for watching that. Okay, so now I want to show you how I set up all my shots for the animation. So I'm just going to show you basically what's my mental process to making a scene happen. So here's the shot right on the wall. You see it in this perspective. Yep, with the girls giggling all weird. I do not do the sound, but the guy does. And there's the flexing, famous scene. I just want to add a little bit of humor. So yeah, so my idea was I wanted to have the guy, I needed an excuse for why the guy wasn't watching. But then he hears the loud zombie scream. He was distracted by the women. I like it. I fucking did that. I want to kill myself. Alright, so basically, since I didn't model the girls too much because I was lazy, I just did the hair because I wanted it to look good. Also, this ponytail is not rigged up, so obviously if I turn the head, it's not going to move with it, so I can't really have them moving around too much. So with this restraint, I decided to have the camera over here showing him flexing. And it's also very nice with the foreground. You never want a camera going still, so you know, you just want it to be rotating a little bit. So with that, you know, you can see the foreground and everything very complements each other. There's also clouds, which I have a cloud simulation going. It doesn't show here, but it happens, and it really makes the scene really solid. Also, I noticed that the scene was kind of dull, so I put in this spotlight over here, and here are the settings for it. You know, decent much more yellow than the light should be, but I wanted to do good on that part. And visible light. This is a keeper. This basically makes it so here, let me go ahead and open up the animation. Alright, so you see here, he's flexing his arm, and the light's flickering. Yeah, I'll explain it in the render settings. And you can see the little visible light here. You can see the light. Normally you wouldn't be able to see that actual light, but I just like the angle that it would come down. I basically had an idea of having the sun always in like this general vicinity in this corner of the map. Also, thank you, Jarrett, for making this map. It's an awesome map, and you can explore little buildings. This is where episode 3 is gonna be as well. So yeah, so that's how I set up this scene, and yeah, it just about covers it. Oh yeah, one more light. There's another light back here, just to make sure that their hair gets a nice coloring. Also, the anti-aliasing could be shown right here. This is why I make things 3D, because it really adds a lot of power to the scene and the corners. Alright, so here is what I consider to be the hardest scene, most advanced scene I did. It's so laggy I could barely move through it, so I kind of just have to explain it from this pause right here. I could also explain it through this really low resolution hardware render. But basically I just want to go over how I did this, so maybe you guys can tackle it. So basically, because none of our computers can really handle all these characters in the scene at once, and how the professionals do it in the real world is how they, you know, you see huge armies. How do they do it? Well, their computers can't handle it either. So how it works is you would, let's say you just want to animate, we'll say these guys. Just want to put in, let's take a better sample. These 4 guys here. So let's say the scene is blank, so you just animated these 4 guys tripping over and falling, because you know that they're gonna get hit by this, by Janus. He's the purple guy going through here. So what you would do is you go to the content browser. You might not have this option, so you want to go to Windows, content browser. It's a very useful way to just save stuff on this folder in here, and you can just come back to it whenever you need it. I don't know. So what I did is I made a folder called Rome Episode 2. I made a bunch of different folders. So I'll just make a folder here for just BTS. Name it whatever you want, and you could just take these soldiers, put them in this folder here. It'll take some time to load, but there we go. So the 4 soldiers are now in here. Key note though, make sure that their names are slightly different. That's why I see these random letters, because I just spammed on the keyboard. If they're the same name, then they'll all save as the same character, so be wary. So then what you would do is just delete them. So now there's not as much lag in the scene. There's still a lot though, but obviously it's been loading quicker. So then, you know, you have these 4 characters here. So then you go and animate these guys, the portals. You could also animate all these, put them away. Janus, him spinning back and forth. You could get him into the content browser as well. All these different characters. And you would just make a giant folder of it all. And, you know, animate it one by one without as much lag. And you would just literally just copy all of them. I click one of them on one end of it. Just hit Control and left click all these guys. Drag it into the piece. And bam, they're in with no errors. I mean, there's going to be some simulation errors, so you want to be wary of that. You're going to come across a ton of errors that I can't explain, but that's just, it makes things so much easier. So you just do one piece at a time, and that's how you would get a giant piece like this, where he's going back and forth killing so many people, and there's so many lights in the simulation and advanced render settings. At times I have 5 of these portals going, and that's a lot of simulations. The computer can barely handle this right now. So yeah, you just handle things one by one. so then it makes things a lot easier. Alright, so next thing we're going to be reviewing is the render settings. I feel like I'm giving away my secret recipe by showing you guys my render settings, how I got it to look pretty decent, other than some flickering here and there, which you saw when the camera zoomed in on the zombies. I'll show it, pop up on the screen right now. Yeah, because the flickering is so annoying, I hate it. So the issue with the flickering goes to the global illumination. So, you know what, I'm just going to scroll through this, so you can pause the video if you want to just make sure you got everything right. So this is just my resolution, aspect ratio. This just makes it so, yeah, normally you're used to 1920 by 1080. That's normally 1080p HD for a YouTube video. But I did this, so then it'll have big black bars on top and bottom. I highly recommend doing that because it just makes everything look more cinematic. So yeah, this doesn't really matter. This is where you would save it. You don't want to save it. You do not want to save it as a movie or like a video file. You want to save it frame by frame into a folder and separate the folders. Very, very, very organized. So that way, if you have an error in one frame, you can take out that frame, fix the error, and put it back in. So I don't have to do anything for multipass. Anti-aliasing. This is where, if you don't know what anti-aliasing is, I'll show it up on the screen right now. It's basically just, it makes lines look straighter from a distance since there's not enough pixels. It tends to create that wavy, weird look. So, if you, it's up to you. This is what makes the render timing so long. So you could set it to, obviously this just makes it, this is twice as much as that, 4 times as much, 8 times as much, 16 as much. So normally for this video, for the first video I had it set to geometry, which basically just, if your scenes are pretty close up, then you don't really have to worry about it. And you don't have to do it for all the scenes. I did it for all the scenes though. So you just set a minimum level and a maximum level. And just render it out, see what happens. If you see the curvy lines, as I showed earlier, you want to increase the anti-aliasing if it bothers you. If. So here's my options. I don't think I changed anything to that. Nothing here or there. This is the plugin that I use to make my portals. It's called Turbulence FD. It's amazing, 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 amazing. Hard to get your hands on a copy of it though, for free. But you know how to get your stuff for free. You know, pirating. Okay, moving on. Ambient occlusion. This is probably the second most important section here. Let's turn this off so it's normal looking. This is red because I keyframed it. Don't have to worry about that. But this is just the details that you need to worry about. This you would slide up and down. Slide up. This up and down, and these up and down if you want to increase or decrease the time it takes to render to make it look pretty. But higher it is, the better. I don't really notice too big of a difference. But contrast, this is the important thing. So now I'll show up on the screen. This is what ambient occlusion looks like. The difference between them. It basically just takes edges and applies like a darkness to the edges. That's how light works in the real world. So it's super important. So I set contrast at 50%. So that's how that works. Moving on to global illumination. This is also extremely important. You could use my settings, but I don't really know if my settings are too great. I use a Radiance Cache Legacy, which is the old version of Legacy Cache, of the Radiance Cache. You might want to start trying to use this one. Try using a secondary method. I put my research into this, and I couldn't get any of these to work, and it still flickers. This is what causes the flickering global illumination. Basically, what global illumination does is make everything bright. Everything gets lit, because you know, obviously, if you have a light over here, let's say in the distance near this window, it won't get to the inside of this building over here. Snap out this camera. Like this light right here, it wouldn't go to the insides of the buildings or around any corners like it wouldn't go like even like right there, wouldn't pick it up. Global illumination spreads it around, so it's extremely important. I didn't do it for the first animation too, so it depends on the situation, and it adds a ton of render time. So, and here's the settings for the Radiance Cache. You can change it up yourself. Obviously, high is better. I do not recommend going below medium for record density and for smoothing. Cache files, don't really care. Don't really care about options. Glow, I was adding a little glow. It just makes everything glow, not just the objects. So the whole entire scene will just get a glow, which emphasizes bright parts and doesn't really touch upon dark spots. So this is my settings for that. You can change it as you like. Lens flares, I didn't actually use any of this. My lens flares, as you saw, were actually 100% in After Effects, Adobe After Effects. I'll show that later. Next we got object glow. This is the vault we put onto it if you have objects that have the glow material tag, which I have a lot of things that do that because glow is awesome. And here is the beautiful vector motion blur, and here's my settings for that. And excuse me. And how that works is you would set it to, this is going to be a horrible explanation, but let's say you want this whole character to be affected by a motion blur, then you would apply, actually we'll go with, where's the assassin? Let's see where his flyby is happening, because that's where I used the motion blur. You saw him like look longer than he actually was. So okay, so I was flying through the air. The faster you're going, the more it'll create. So I've basically set the strength here to only when he's flying around, because when he's standing still I do not want it to have any motion blur. So I just keyframe it by hitting this button. You set a frame, so it'll be 200 at this point. I hope you understand this, how keyframing works. If you don't, then you shouldn't be watching this video. So then you would set it to 0 when you want it to end, and whatever. It's simple enough for the motion blur. You could also try motion blur in After Effects, but it's very strange. So yeah, those are my render settings. Try not to steal it too much, alright? Also, PS, how I did this, because everything in this animation, since it takes up so much computer power, just hitting this play button here will not result in correct timing. Look at how slow it is. It's supposed to be going 24 of these tick marks per second. And you really should not trust this button in this speed because it's not RAM rendered. So what you want to do is just have a second rendering option. I call it Scene Tester. And it's set to hardware. By the way, this is set to standard. So for here you would have hardware here. It's just any low amount of pixels. Just make sure it's the same aspect ratio. Panavision, that's close enough to what I had. Don't want to save it. Don't really care about hard. And then you would just have the range that you want to render here. So, and then it'll pop out. It'll look like this. And that looks really crappy. But the thing is when you play it back, it's playing it back in perfect timing. You want to make sure your FPS is set to the correct FPS that you're going at, and make sure your project settings lines up and it's also the FPS you're going at, which you find in Edit, Project Settings, and here you just find it right there. So yeah, so this time the real-time player, it's going at real time, so I know exactly how fast things are moving and how slow things are moving. So yeah, that's my way too long tutorial about render settings. Alright, so it's time to talk about my After Effects. So basically, this is what you do afterwards after you finish your animation. So I only had 2 effects though, so you can see them right down here. First one is Radial Blur. So I've had a kind of major mistake. Well, kind of a mistake. Kind of being lazy too. I did not make a depth of fields map, which in the Cinema 4D while I was rendering, which basically makes it so you'd have something to tell this program that this object's close, that object's far away, This one's kind of closer. This one's really close. You know, stuff like that. That's what a depth of field map is, and you can bring it into After Effects. You can use it to focus on this, focus on the background, then blur out all of this. You know, that's how the blurring works. And it's kind of, you know, you're probably saying, I don't need it. Sometimes you don't, but I don't know, it just makes a nice effect. See, this is the difference. So I put in radio blur, which you could just find by going over to effects and presets, typing in this. Come on, let me type it in. There it is. CC radio blur. So we take it and just drag it onto this. We then apply the effect. You can see it here. And here's the settings I have, 0.7. So basically how radio blur works is the further it is away from the point, the more blur it'll have. So you see if I increase it, this is how that Mr. Krabs meme was made. It literally just blends it around, it just spins the frame around. It's very strange. But you know, you could just edit it very small amounts, like 1.2. You can see it gets more blurry around the outside. You can move the center point. So let's say, like if you want it in the corner for some reason, all this would be blurred. I want it to be focused on a certain point of this scene. This is basically just the cheap way to get some radio blur. And obviously you want different amounts in every scene. So let's go back. I had 0.7 in this scene because it's a very intense scene, so I wanted to have a bit more. But in other scenes I would just have 0.2 or something, which you can't see it too big of a difference, but here, just stare over here and watch me put it to 0, and you can see, yeah, it just adds a little bit of blur, which is a nice effect. Secondly, I have lens flares, which you can find by just typing it over here, dragging it onto here. And basically, I love it. It's so much fun to work with. So I'd basically just take the center, which you can see here, just put it off of the piece a little bit. Basically, I was just trying to make it sure so the sun is always in this corner of the map. So whichever screenshot, if I'm on, for example, the other side of the wall, obviously the flare would be in this side, because I don't know, that's how math works. And so then I would just have it, since the camera is moving this way, that means the flare would move that way, because that's how it works. So you want to make sure the flare is moving whenever the camera is moving. And you can affect the brightness, kind of insane, and stuff like that. It's all preference. And then blend with original just makes it pop out or blend in more. So yeah, it's just really simple. And you gotta just animate it. And how you would animate it is, I recommend just Googling or YouTube, on YouTube, how to use After Effects lens flares, because I won't teach you as well as other people would. So yeah. Alright, so thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it helped. I really just covered the major features of the animation. There's a bunch of glitches. I'm not even perfect. There's much better animators out there. I just wanted to share with you guys techniques that I learned, because honestly, sometimes messing around in the animation program isn't enough to discover new features. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to say in the description. And yeah, that's it. I'm sorry it took me so long. Dude, I hate school. I hate the job. It's a hard life. Excuse me. But alright, thanks for watching, and peace out.